Okay, I don't want to start this lesson making it all about me, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when I ask a business owner who is the audience for their brand and they say something like, my brand is for women. Or maybe they say something slightly better and they say, my brand is for people looking to buy shoes. Now, both of those are true statements, but as a marketer, I would not be able to build a successful campaign around either of those audiences. They're both way too broad and not narrow enough for proper targeting. Broad audiences are the first step in a business losing a lot of money. If you remember from our first lesson, I showed you how broad audiences waste a lot of your budget targeting people who are not looking for the products and services that you offer. In fact, I've used the word targeted audience quite a lot in just a short few lessons, and that's because with digital marketing, a big part of the success of your campaigns depends on not only defining the right audiences who are looking for what you offer, but also match the objective of your campaign. In this lesson, we're going to talk about how you can take your broad audiences and narrow them down, and then how you can take those narrowed audiences and build personas to use in your marketing campaigns. So, let's dive in. All right, welcome to your first lesson in the brand identity section. As I mentioned in the intro, in this lesson, we're going to be taking a deeper look at audiences and figuring out how we can narrow our audiences with segments. We'll then take a look at personas, what they are, and how they can help you with your marketing business. And then we'll take a crack at building some personas of our own. As always, we'll start off this lesson with a knowledge check, and we'll ask ourselves, what is a targeted audience? Well, I've said this a few times by now, a targeted audience is a group of people who are likely to become customers of a business. Targeted audiences share similar demographic traits and common characteristics that align with the business products and services. And to take it one step further, as I mentioned in the intro, they also align with the target objectives of your campaign. When it comes to businesses and their audiences, you will find that many brands fall into the trap of defining audiences that are too broad. And while a broad audience may accurately describe a customer base, defining more targeted audiences can help a brand achieve better performance in marketing. And now I know, I've said this like 3 or 4 times by now, but I really want to nail home how important it is when digitally marketing to accurately describe your audience. Another thing to note is that one brand could have many different audience buildups. Different products, services, and marketing campaigns usually have slightly different targeted audiences. If you remember my example in the intro, I was talking about a brand who said their audience is women. Let's say they sell clothes. You'll see that clothes for tall women, clothes for short women, clothes for pregnant women, they all are slightly different targeted audiences. And if you mix up those campaigns, you can have a horrible result for your business. Now, when it comes to building audiences, they're usually made up of segments, and those segments are geographic data, demographic data, psychographic data, and behavioral data. We're going to take a look at what all of those segments mean and what are different parts of the segments that you can use when building your audiences. Our first segment is going to be made up of geographic data. Now, this segments your audience into groups made up of where they live, work, shop, or plan to visit. And it includes information like the country, city, state, neighborhood of where your customer lives, but also the population size, the language, and climate. Now, some of these are very popular for people when defining their target audience, but some of them may get left out. And you have to ask yourself, is my product or service for everyone who lives in every city, who lives in every state? Is my product for people who live in a hot environment, a cold environment? Is my product for people who live around a lot of people and have access to a lot of stores? Or maybe they live in sparse environments and they don't have as much access to resources as other people. All of these filters can greatly help you better define your audiences and get better results on your campaigns and find more people who need the things that you offer. Our next segment is made up of demographic data. Demographic data segments your audience into groups based off their identity and experiences. You can think of demographic data as segmenting your audience based off of what's on the outside. It includes things like their age, gender, their education, their ethnic background, and even their religion. And this is probably some of the most common ways that people use to describe their audiences. But I want you to think even bigger than my audience is a 30-year-old man, or my target customer is Black, or maybe even my target customer is a nurse. There's some things on here that will really let you hyper-target your customer. For instance, education not only means segmenting people based off of how much schooling they have, some college, no college, but it also means segmenting people based off of what degrees they have and even what schools they went to. This can be very important if you sell merchandise that is specific to a certain college, or if you're targeting people in a certain career path. Likewise, income not only means some income or no income, but maybe you sell stuff for high net worth individuals. And imagine how much money you'd be wasting if you were targeting people who can't even afford your products. Our next segment is psychographic data. And this segments your audience into groups based off of their values, desires, goals, interests, and lifestyle choices. If we can think of demographic data segmenting our audiences into groups based off what's on the outside, we can think of psychographic data segmenting our groups based off what's on the inside. And this includes things like their hobbies, their interests, their fears, their values, and even their objections. It goes into customer psychology, and this is a lot harder to segment and break out into groups. However, if you can manage segmenting psychographic data, you can make big bucks for your brand. And I'll let you know why. Things that are in here like values, objections, and fears are really what marketing plans are built off of. If you can leverage people's fears and goals and their objections into your marketing campaigns, they will be able to buy the lifestyle that they see for themselves and not the product that you're offering. When you fix someone's problem, you're fixing their life. You're not selling them something. And when you help someone reach their goals, you're helping them become a better person, not only selling something. So you can see there's a lot of opportunity in here for you to turn psychographic data into money and leads for your business. One other thing that's in here that stands out to me are the hobbies, interests, and lifestyle. Those will let you have great places for you to advertise to your customer, even if the hobbies and lifestyle have nothing to do with the products that you offer. If you know that your client goes to baseball games a lot, well, now you have a laundry list of baseball-related businesses, products, and services that you can piggyback off of to advertise and position your brand next to in order to get eyes on your products. Our next and last segment is going to be made up of behavioral data. This segments your audience into groups based off their activities and actions. It includes things like the buyer stage, life cycle, intent, engagement level, and even occasion of the purchase. Behavioral data segments are best used in late-stage campaigns that are based in lead generation or conversion. They'll allow you to do things like send emails to people who are your most loyal customers, retarget people who've been to your website, and if you have a product that is based in gift giving, these segments will allow you to identify people who have family and friends who have birthdays within the next 90 days, or even people who may be celebrating their anniversary. Now that we have a better understanding of audience segments, let's take a look at some very broad audience definitions and see if we can make them a little bit better. Starting off with Mr. Big and Tall, they may say that they're a clothing store for tall men, and that wouldn't be a lie. But how about they try saying that they're a clothing store for men over 6'2" who shop online, have a hard time finding clothes in their size, and want to access trendy options. Now, that's a definition that I can market off of. You'll see that we have demographic data in there, things like men and 6'2". We have psychographic data in there when we say that they have a hard time finding clothes in their size, they want trendy options, and we included behavioral data when we say that they shop online. Let's take a look at another example. Here we have Rodeo Realty, the ultra-luxe brokerage you may recognize from $1 Million Listing. Now, they may say that their brand is for rich people looking to buy a house, and boy, they would not be wrong. But I would urge the brand to try an audience buildup that looked like this. Their brand is for high net worth individuals with a net worth over $3 million who are looking to buy a home in Los Angeles in the next 12 months. They are also likely to already be a homeowner. With over 10 million people living in Los Angeles, imagine how much waste a campaign would be if it didn't have some of these targeting filters on it. Not only did we include demographic data like having a net worth over $3 million and living in Los Angeles, we included behavioral data like they're looking to purchase within the next 12 months. Adding some of these filters in your audience can be the difference between your ads targeting millions of the wrong people. I have one more example for you, and here we have Taco Bell. And if we're all being honest, we know that one of the segments for Taco Bell is stoners. But instead of them saying, we're running campaigns targeted to stoners, Taco Bell might say, we're running campaigns targeted to men 21 to 30 who may be looking for a quick and cheap meal and likely to be seeking food at off-peak hours. Here, you can see stoners would still fit within this description, but we have way more information. Demographic data like men aged 21 to 30, we have their income, they're looking for a cheap meal. That's also psychographic data because they want something cheap, and we have behavioral data there because they want food at off-peak hours. Another thing here is that if you can find a segment that operates at off-peak hours, things like after dark, the middle of the night, or even some months when your main customers are not shopping, you can run campaigns that take advantage of your slow seasons and increase revenue for your brand. Okay, so now that we have a better idea of how to build more narrow audiences and more targeted audiences, we're going to talk a little bit about personas and figuring out how they're a little bit different from audiences and how they fit into your marketing campaigns. When it comes to personas, a persona is a fictional ideal character based on a common combination of audience segments. I'll tell you guys a little secret. I kind of snuck a couple of personas into my examples. The thing that we would need to do to take our narrow audiences and make them personas is just a little bit more work. Our personas need a name or a headline, they need a little bit about them, and then they need to address the concerns or needs. To make it a little easier for you, I've compiled this Persona Worksheet. I've separated it from this lesson and dropped it in the lesson notes. That way you can use this worksheet in all your future campaigns and to practice on your brand. And that brings us to a class activity. I want you to pause this video and I want you to make 2 customer personas for your brand using the last worksheet. Now, if you don't have a brand or your brand's not that established yet, just pick 2 popular brands and make personas for them. Pause the video, work on it however long it takes you, there's no time limit, and on the other side, I'll show you some that I have come up with. All right, welcome back. I hope you have fun making your personas and maybe even learn something about your customer. For my first example, I pretended like I own a baby bottle company, and I came up with Tiffany, the new mom. Here's a little bit about Tiffany. Think about how useful this information might be if I was running, let's say, a Facebook ad for this bottle company targeted to new moms. Not only do I have age information to match age ranges for Tiffany and her baby, I have important psychographic and demographic information in here that might help me determine the content that I'm going to produce even for this campaign. Knowing things like her day is planned around her baby's sleep schedule might help me produce content that shows how our products make the baby sleep better and increases the mom's sleep as well. Knowing that she only buys from brands with good public perception might encourage me to add a small banner that says our products are 100% organic. Small details like that can greatly increase the success of a campaign. For my next example, I pretended like I owned a travel company, and that brought me to Jason. He's soon retiring. Here's a little bit more information about Jason. Seeing this information about Jason, how do you think that I might use Google to target people like Jason for my travel business? Well, one thing that stands out is that Jason already spends a lot of time Googling. And that's great for us because we could take advantage of that by writing SEO target articles that Jason might click on. Something like top 10 places for people over 55 to go and visit. Then we may consider a Google display campaign that retarget people who read the article and show them ads on their favorite websites of people using our service that are their age and having the time of their life. And you can see that this will work better than sending Jason an article that is 25 places for people to enjoy on spring break or showing him ads that are people who are young 20-somethings dancing on the beach. And just like that, we've made it through another lesson. Inside this lesson, we've talked about audiences and segments. We also talked about personas, and we even built a couple of personas for your brain. As always, I hope you learned something. I hope you have fun, and I hope I see you for our next lesson. Our next lesson is going to be about mission statements and value propositions. And we're starting to get into some heavy stuff here, so I appreciate you guys sticking with it, and I'll see you soon.